Hello, and welcome back to the Crescent Shores in Leverington. And welcome to my 100 subscriber video. A couple days ago, I hit 100 subscribers. I think I'm now at 111. So, as promised, I'm going to do a Q&A video. But first, I want to start off by saying a big thank you to all of my subscribers and all the people who watch my videos. I really appreciate it, and it's been great to share this hobby with you and to be part of this community here on YouTube. So, thank you. Okay. Well, let's start off. I've got some, I'm going to destroy my laptop. I've got some questions here on my laptop. This is actually the second time I've had to shoot this video. The first time I got all the way through it, got to editing, and realized I had such serious lighting problems that the footage was actually completely unusable. So let's hope this one goes a little bit better. So Humanity Junction asked two questions. And I'm going to answer the second part first. Humanity Junction asked two questions, and I'm going to address the second item first because the first item that he asked is very similar to the next question, so I'll get to them at the same time. By the way, if you've never checked out that channel, I would definitely head on over there and check out Humanity Junction. I will drop a link to it down in the description, but he's got a great channel. We both share the struggle of doing model railroading in a smaller space in the city. He has an N-track module, and I have this layout here. So, and he's doing some really cool stuff with lighting right now, so definitely go give those videos a look. Humanity Junction asks, what is your dream model railroad item? My dream model railroad item is realistically, things that might get made. My dream model railroad item is going to be a Reading T1. I would love to have one. I would love to have two. Maybe Broadway Limited Imports. If you're watching, next year we might have two T1s coming back into steam, 2102 and 2100, with the Reading Blue Mountain and Northern and American Steam Railroad, respectively. Both very cool projects. If you Google them, you can find some updates. I know the American Steam Railroad is taking donations for 2100, so I will leave that link down in the description as well. But yeah, a T1 is something I would love to have two of, potentially. So yeah, that's the answer there. And they both asked some variation on what got you into model railroading, how did you get interested in model railroading? So that's actually a two-part question. In a general sense, how did I get interested in model railroading? Well, as long as I've been alive and having memories, my grandfather has had an O scale, two-rail O layout, and I actually did a video on his layout a couple months back, so I will drop that link in the description as well, so you can go check out that video. So the exposure to his layout is really what got me into it. My dad always had a Lionel like 031 piece of plywood down in the basement, and then when I was 6 or 7, he gave me a set of Lionel trains and helped me build a 4x8 027 layout down in our basement, in addition to what he had set up. And then I had some variation on that for the next 10 years until I was in high school. And then when I went to college, all the trains sort of went into storage, and it wasn't super front and center of my mind. Fast forward another 7 years, I'm finishing law school, and I'm down a YouTube rabbit hole one night. For some reason, I'm watching British rail training videos. I don't know, these things happen. And Everard Junction comes up in the recommended videos. So I start watching some of his videos, and that really reignited that interest in model railroading. And once I graduated and started working, that was when I got back into model railroading with my previous about 2.5 by 5 foot N scale layout, which is how I ended up in N scale, and that's a story that I'll address a little bit later on. So I hope that answers your question. The next question here is from Mark Arnold, who asks, how are things progressing at the CSL Railroad, the Crescent Shores in Leverington? I think things are progressing pretty well. I just wrapped up some more scenery over by my yard, so I was actually able to put stuff back in the yard. And then I had a little running session, and wouldn't you know it, I was going to get the tripod out to shoot some video of that running session. And a caboose picked a switch, and it derailed onto the adjacent main, and there was a big collision, and the gondola ended up getting shoved into my station. It was a whole thing. So yeah, I've got a picture of that up on my Instagram right now. But yeah, things are going really well. And things are going pretty well with the channel, and things are going pretty well with my Instagram. So overall, I'm happy about it. Okay, next question. Evan Tyree asks, what's the hardest part? What's the hardest thing to make? And for me, that's roads. I've always struggled. This is my second layout and like my third different technique on making roads. And I've always struggled to make a convincing looking road. So if anybody's got good road making tutorials or tips, videos, articles, something like that, please drop them down below. I'd love to hear them because I have modeling an urbanized area. I have a lot of roads, and I don't feel like I'm very good at making roads. So, Aggie Lindruth asks, and I'll tip this. This is my sister, actually. What is your favorite part of model railroading? There's a two-parter here. My favorite part of model railroading, short of actually running trains, which is always a lot of fun, I really enjoy building kits, which is why I have no pre-built or prefab buildings on my layout. They all come from kits that I build and paint up because I've always really enjoyed that. I built plastic airplane and car models as a kid and a younger teenager, so it's a skill set that I feel like I have, and I enjoy doing it. So, the second part of that question was, why did you choose to work with N-scale, and have you ever worked with other scales before? Well, as I said earlier, I have worked with both flavors of O-scale before, both helping my grandfather and with my own layout. And I chose N-scale, backing up to that 2x5 foot layout, because when I got back into model railroading, I was living in a house in South Philly with 3 other people, and it just wasn't right for me to take over common space with model trains. So whatever I had to fit in my bedroom. And my choices at that point were an HO switching layout, which even then I wasn't going to get a huge switching layout going, an N-scale layout, or a Z-scale layout. I landed on N because it's cheaper and less fiddly, basically. Z is extremely fiddly, your options are pretty limited, and it's really expensive compared to N-scale. So that's how I landed with N. Nina Lispy asks, why did you choose Manayunk as the geographic area you wanted to model? That's actually an excellent question. I chose Manayunk because in its position along the Schuylkill River Valley, you get to model urbanized areas, you get to model wooded areas, you get to model the river valley. And within that river valley, you had 2 main lines for the Reading Railroad, as well as the Pennsylvania and later Penn Central's Schuylkill division. So you had the opportunity to model commuter operations and freight operations really from 2 different railroads, along with a plethora of unique local industries such as mills, like there were paper mills up there, there were different coal facilities, there were other manufacturing facilities. So it really felt like it gave me a broad range of things I could model. It's also pretty close to where I live, and I have friends that live up there, so I'm up there pretty regularly. So that's why I decided to model that area. That main line was just a natural draw for me, so that's why I decided to model it. Okay. Eric Held asks, do you listen to any music while you're working on this? And the answer to that is sometimes. And what kind of music I listen to? It's really anything. I've listened to my 90s gangsta rap playlist. I've listened to my metal playlist, my classic rock playlist, my early 2000s club bangers playlist. So, yeah, it depends on what I'm doing. The more sort of repetitive the task is, the more likely I am to listen to music, because it doesn't matter so much if you get a little distracted. So there's your answer. Okay. Chainshaw asks, what are you planning on doing with the current model the next time you move? Also, when starting a new model, do you save the old ones? I'm guessing you scavenge the functional pieces off of it, but is there enough left at the end for it to be worth holding on to? To address the first part of that question, when I move, this layout is coming with me. I do plan to build another layout when we buy a house, but I don't know if I'm going to be able to do that like as soon as we move in. There may be other things I have to work on, other things I have to spend money on. So for now, this layout is going to come with me, but it is not going to be the permanent layout for that house. So to that question, yes, I will scavenge as much of this layout as I can, whether it's the tunnel portals or all of the structures will be saved. And I'm going to try to save as much of the track as I can. I've glued it down mostly with water-based glue, so if I get all the structures off, get everything else off, and then absolutely soak it with water, it should peel up with a putty knife. But that's the reason that I haven't, and I'm probably not going to ballast the crossover and passing siding in the middle of my layout, because I want to be able to easily salvage what realistically is about $120, $140 worth of turnouts. So there's your answer. And Robert Brown asks, where do you see this layout in 5 years? This is kind of connected to the previous question. Assuming you have extra room in the future. So I think I kind of just answered that question. This layout will not be around. I will be building a new layout that will continue to model the same area, but hopefully I'll be able to do kind of like a 10 by 10 around the walls type of thing with a lift out bridge. I've got some ideas of what I want to do, like Philadelphia to Manioc through Conshohocken and Norristown, sort of as the four sides of the layout. So I think that's going to be pretty cool. I'm starting to spitball track plan ideas for that, but obviously I can't really plan until I know what kind of space I have. So I am excited to work on that layout and really kind of realize that dream. The second part of this question was, if you could get one N-scale item for free, no matter how rare or expensive, what would it be? The answer to that is probably I think it was either Key or Sunset did Silverliner 2s painted up for the Reading back in the 80s, and they don't run particularly well, but they are the only Silverliner, ready to run Silverliner 2 models in N-scale, and they're brass, and they look pretty good. I haven't bought them to this point because I've only ever seen one set come up on eBay. I think they only made like 40 or 50 of them to start with. And one set did come up on eBay. I think it sold for about $400. So I want Silverliner 2s for my electrified commuter operations. I do not want them that badly. I have a million other things, including literally a house and a new layout that I could be spending money on. So I hope that answers that question. That looks like it's the end of the questions. So I'd like to give a big thank you just one more time to all of my subscribers, and I'll see you next time. Bye.